the grey version, there must be a light grey. I'm not sure if that has been taken into production. Also developed, and I'm not sure that we get in production. We also developed a beige version. And as you can see, it's cut into at random, so some pieces are almost showing nothing, and some pieces are showing more better.
So the 250 edition UK GT came in two colours on the outside, and then there was the individual hand-painted seats inside. That was obviously something that was a big project for you, something you were very proud of. Was there talk of extending that out across other European countries at all? So the hand-painted leather seats were used on the UK GT limited edition.
Only in England?
Yes, 250. Yes, that. Okay. So, as far as you know, there wasn't discussion about maybe rolling it out across Europe.
We developed it for the bigger platform later on.
Yeah.
But I don't think it went into production. The market was not ready for it. You were not there yet.
Very good. Question for Rob. If you had your time again, what would you do differently with the 480?
That's a good question. If you had the time again. The 480, I would not change anything because it's timeless, so there is no need to go to facelifts, that kind of adaptations. What you said about the C30, I think is right. That got a much bigger engine in the end than the 480 ever had.
Yeah.
What I think is a mistake is that the 480 Club in the Netherlands has extended to 460, 480 and the
440.
And the 440. I think it's a mistake. They should have gone with the C30. In that respect, I think they have the same kind of enthusiasts that can never be met by the 440 and the 460 drivers.
Yeah, yeah. And Kareem, similar question for you. If you had your time again on the 480 project, is there anything you would do differently?
Well, I was the new kid in the house, so all the processes and everything was new for me, and I had to develop the color upholstery processes still. So I did all my best within the limits, of course, to fight for the utmost and the best solution. No, I don't think I would do anything else. The only thing is a personal thing that I was so damn dedicated and fighting like hell for the. So I would give myself a little bit more fun times as well to enjoy the process and really realized what the challenges, the chances were that Volvo was giving me to develop my expertise. That was such a good chance, and also I have to say we had a very good boss, because he was, as he said, he was not telling you what to do. He tried to let the people blossom for who they were. So
Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
and the Galaxy project, where 480 was one of the cars, was my first experience with Volvo. And since then ever, I have a diagonal through my heart.
Yes. Rob, my understanding is that the 480, a lot of the original thinking from John and yourself was to have that as a car that would be launched on the US market. It never happened. Can you talk to us more about why that was the case and how you felt at the time about that?
I think that the 480 was a car that was to be built in smaller numbers than the 440 and the 460 later. So it was a tryout for the Swedish direction to see how the first front-wheel driven Volvo would perform on the market. Therefore, its exclusivity has been guaranteed, because the more cars, the less interesting for car lovers. What happened was that the United States had initially a big interest to sell the 480 in the States, but by the time it was ready, the dollar rate had gone up so much that Volvo could not make money on making big numbers of 480s for the United States, and what was left over was 80,000 for the European market and markets just outside Europe, but not in the States. And if you compare those 88,000, I think, 480s to what the P1800 had managed before it, it's still an outstanding project.
Yes, yes, agree.
Not only money-wise, but for the reputation of Volvo in general.
There was something with the bumper, wasn't it? The 5 miles, a reason that it has to be tested, and if you don't go to America, that you still have this huge bumper. In fact, it's defining the car. It's defining the uniqueness as well for Europe. It's interesting. I think it's interesting.
The bumper of the 480 was already in line with the American, and the good thing about what John got arranged is that these American regulations were applicable without ruining the total silhouette of the car.
Yeah, yeah. It actually adds to it. It makes it look different from an average European car.
Chapeau, John.
Yeah. So, Corien, we're lucky enough to have an example of the convertible here from Guy Vermont in Belgium. That, I think, is very exciting. I look at that. You know, what are your views on the convertible? Were you involved in that project in any of the? Yes. Talk to us more about that, please.
Well, there is one car that has the convertible type of interior here, because that particular car does not have the specific carpet that we developed for it with the multicolor dot and the greenish scarab kind of color on the seats. So we developed that material, and then if you do an introduction car or a car about a one-off, you still have to produce a certain amount of metrage. So the limited edition, that's shown there. There are few of them, I think, but not so many, because we just used the carpet and we used the material that was developed to make the cabrio, actually.
Yes.
I love it.
Yes.
I love it. And also when we introduced the cabrio on the Geneva Motor Show, we had the cover set. Oh no, that was for the normal car. We also showed the cover set of the. I have color pictures of that. I can show you the color pictures later. But we also developed a cover set for the introduction of the 480 itself, with
Yes.
the luggage set.
Samsonite luggage set.
Samsonite, with the material of the. I have to. Maybe later I can show you something else as well that I still brought with me.
Excellent. We look forward to some surprises. That's great. So the convertible, again, it wasn't launched, it didn't happen. Rob, can you recall the circumstances of the decision on the convertibles not being produced?
Yeah, that was a very big surprise. We had all the photo material ready.
Yeah.
The car was shown in Geneva in 1990. It was announced that it would go into production in a couple of months, but the British firm Motor Panels, who got the order from Jeff Wright, one of the people in our own board, he was British and tried to get an English firm as part of the total mechanical things that had to be developed for this convertible. And after 5 prototypes were roadworthy and were ready, there was a convention of all the Volvo importers worldwide at Athens in 1990, and our board was so confident that we would have the cabrios in time that there was a lottery among the families of Volvo importers worldwide, and the winner could get the first convertible of the line. The winner was the wife of the importer of Greece in Athens, and she never got her car.
That's a shame, yeah.
What I have here is the press material for the introduction of the convertible as was shown in the Geneva Motor Show of 1990.
Look at those later, yeah, no, that's great. So I've got a question for John, which Thijs is going to pick up on. What were the work and design processes for the 480, and were they unique in any particular way? Yes. Were the work and design processes for the 480 unique in any way?
That's a great question, and the answer is yes. So something which is quite interesting and not a lot of people will know. If you look at the car on the brochure, you can see that the bonnet, the hood, is quite oddly shaped, right? Because it kind of curves on the sides. There's actually a reason for that. And the reason for that is that we all know that the 480 shares some Renault parts. The reason for the bonnet being so interestingly shaped is that the firewall of the Renault 9 had a certain height. Excuse me. The firewall of the Renault 9 had a certain height, and to deal with that issue, the hood on the 480 curves on the sides, which is really interesting. The next point, which is really interesting, talking about the design process of the 480. Volvo actually wanted to introduce a diesel engine. They never did, but because they were planning on building a diesel 480 variant, which needed a new battery, that meant that pop-up headlight system, that the mechanism, John wanted something else. So what John wanted was a 180-degree style of how the pop-up would twist, which is found on the Corvette C4. So the Corvette C4, if you know that car, has the pop-up system that, I see some people nodding, the Corvette C4 pop-up system, so the 180 degrees, that's what John wanted to introduce. And he's very sorry that it couldn't be on the car. One of the things he would have done over, but it couldn't be done because the battery of the diesel variant that was to be introduced, that never came there, that had an inflict on that decision. Other limitations, John wrote, he fixed them himself. So he used his own ways of thinking to get around certain hurdles, which is quite interesting.
Very good, very good. So we're coming towards the end now. We've had some questions sent in by people attending today. So from Ton Omen, I think it's pronounced correctly.
Before we go there, there's some more interesting things that John wrote down, and he told me himself that I'd like to share with you. So here's some fun facts about the 480 in terms of design-wise. So if I have this brochure over here, it's kind of hard to do it one-handed, but we are looking at the side profile of the 480. We all know that the way that the bumpers are attached to the car is horizontal, right? The bumpers are attached like this. They're not in a curved angle upwards, downwards. So why is that? John thought about that, and he said, if a car is in an accident and your bumpers get pushed in, because the bumpers are horizontal, you won't ruin or damage the body lines. And if the bumpers were curved upwards, you would ruin the body lines of the car in terms of an accident. One more thing, John really wanted to have turn signals in the mirrors, in the side mirrors. That would have been the first Volvo to have side repeaters in the mirror. John wanted that because he said, you know, the mirrors are electric anyway, so wiring is already going there, so why don't we add the indicators in the mirrors? Why wasn't that the case? It's because Volvo itself, they said, no, we can't have you do that because we don't want the small, cheap Volvo to be the first, before the big brothers, to have that feature, which is really interesting. Yeah, that's quite interesting to know about
That's
the
great.
480. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. Thank you, John. Thank you, Thijs. So we've got some fan questions come in from Tom. The question is, what's the story behind the 1992 two-tone cars? Rob, were you still around in 1992? No. Corien, can you remember?
I remember.
Yeah.
Because my husband at that time was business planning, product planning, and they needed a lifestyle extension, a life cycle solution, and they wanted to have, and they thought it was a two-tone trend. So he said, we would like to have a two-tone, and I didn't want this. So we had quite a nice fight, and product planning won. That's the whole story. And they planned the color, and there was one that you let it go, you know,
Yeah.
because you also want to live. Oh. Sorry, I cannot make it more than that.
And were there other colour combinations discussed at all? How did they end up?
Probably I have done some proposals there, because knowing me, I have an other about exterior color. I have a sample here, that a color sample that was proposed on the Volvo 480, but later on it was taken on the tea yellow. So this is the original color sample made for the 480.
Very different.
And but Peter Holbury said we will take it. Peter Holbury and Jose, they took it for the tea yellow, but yeah, it is launched tea yellow, and it was a success. It was our proposal.
Thijs, I think you had some more input from John on the two-tone.
Well, Corien, the color is called now cream yellow, and it's introduced on the Volvo 850 T5R in 1994 and 95. It's the most popular color for the 850 T5R.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah. And it is because you like numbers, right? It's color code 607.
I'll write it down.
Very good.
There's a few more points I want to share that John wrote down. I think this is extremely interesting. The question is, nearly 40 years later, what was the one thing you were most proud of in terms of personal contribution to the 480 project? And I think John wrote down the most boss answer. I think his answer is so cool. So the thing, John, you were most proud of, you wrote down winning the competition from worthy designers like Jan Wilsgaard from Volvo Sweden, the Malmgren brothers, Cogiola and Bertone. And I think we can get an applause for that.
Can I say something about Wilsgaard? Because he always had red leather interiors. And Jeff Wright, he wanted to be kind of Wilsgaard, right? Remember? So he ordered a red interior at my desk, and he also ordered red wheels, and so everything almost, well, and so he designed the car himself, and I had to make it work. So I went to Sweden, I ordered the red Wilsgaard leather, but I added something because I thought, yeah, you cannot just ask design to do whatever you wish. So I thought it was a vulgar proposal. So I added a little bra on his rear view mirror with 2 diamonds on the tips, borrowed from the secretary of Jeff Wright. And at delivery I made a big page on a letter I sent, okay, to teach you a little bit about culture and taste. I added this bra on your mirror.
Question from James Carruthers. James is here with a very nice red early deregistration, so 1986 UK 480, and it's one of the original launch cars that was prepared for the launch of the UK market. Rob and Corien, were you involved in preparing that, and did you visit the UK for the launch of the 480 in 1986? Any recollections?
I went to all the motor shows in that year because in all these places it was a newly presented car. So styling representative had to be available at all the shows. And I think we took turns, the people from my department, to add answers from the press.
Yes.
That could be very professional and could not only be answered by the people from the PR department.
Yeah. And do you recall how many cars were prepared for the launches?
It depended. For England it was the left-hand drive execution, and for the European it was I think always the same team. I can explain a very nice example of introduction. When the 480 came for the first time on the European market, we had a press invitation and presentation in Lausanne. In February we had the motor show in Geneva. 2 months later, that was the sad time of the atomic disaster in the Ukraine.
Yeah, Chernobyl.
Chernobyl was very doubtful if all these races, all these travels to go to the openings and the presentations of the 480 could go ahead. So there we had a team from the press and the technical department combined. So, and the press was invited in Lausanne to go by boat to Evian-les-Bains, which is the south part of the lake of Geneva, and in the French part of the country, south of the Geneva lake, were all the test drives, and in the evening they would go back north to Lausanne in an old-fashioned ship with those big radar. Instead of propellers, it had these big wheels on the side, and a pre-war construction. And I have been there, I think, 3 times in 2 weeks as a representative of my department, and in the same way the press department was involved. And I think
Right. Tell us more about your time on those launch events, Corien, please, in Geneva and elsewhere.
Oh yeah, that was interesting because sometimes we were just going, of course, because we were designing, and sometimes you have to add something. And that is how the set was initiated with Samsonite, because we wanted to do something extra. And at Geneva we had an introduction, and someone came to me and she said, I want the copper set, the set. So give me the car with it. I was very happy to hear this. There haven't been made so many of these sets. The journalists got a pilot case, and I'm not sure how many we made. But it was specially treated. The fabric of the interior was specially treated to be long lasted on. I have 2 parts. I have one with the red stitches and one with the blue stitches being used. But
great memories. Okay.
But you asked, are you involved in that in the introduction?
Yes.
We were always involved in the introduction, and also we helped the Dutch area of we were a multicultural design
An
team,
international
so the international team. So those people who were Dutch, they did the Dutch market, helped out the Dutch market, and made also the choices, the configuration for that market, and the same for the English market and for the Swedish market. So we divided that a little bit. Huh?
Yeah, very good. I'm very conscious we've been going for an hour now and it's very, very hot out there. So thank you very much, everybody. We really appreciate your questions and your answers. It's been great to see you all.
But I want to show you
Please.
one more special
Please
thing,
do, Corien.
because we also made some what is it, accessories or so.
Yeah.
And we were in contact with the silver guy, and he made especially a design for a little model with running wheels, and he promised to deliver 250 or 500, and he only delivered 50, right? So there must be on the market these little thingies, but they are very, very rare.
Yes. It looks amazing.
They are really nice, and this is number 001, and I have number 480, although that has never been delivered, so it's a special case.
Excellent. Okay, thank you everybody for your participation.